So if you hear my bird in the background, I apologize. So I created this tag, the indie author tag, and the reason why I wanted to write my own questions was because you have the AuthorTube tag, you have the BookTube tag, and I just felt like a lot of the questions on the other tags were a little bit too general and they weren't specific enough to indie authors specifically. So even though it's probably out there, I just wanted to write my own questions just because I was like, why not? So if you want to do this tag, I'm going to link I'm going to put the questions in my description below so you can like copy and paste them into yours. So if you want to do this tag, you are free to do so. So for those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is Emily. I'm 24 from New York, although I'm moving back to Orlando, Florida really soon. And I am a writer. I have 2 published poetry books out on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and I'm also working on a dark romance / thriller called Swan of the Night and a fantasy / adventure, which I'm not going to get into that right now. But anyways, I am also a digital artist, a model photographer, and this channel is all about art, as you can see. But right now we're focusing on my writing because that is just what I am passionate about right now. So yeah, indie author tag. So I don't know if I'm going to edit this that much in post. We're gonna find out. This video is kind of a little bit all over the place and a little bit unhinged. That's okay. That's who I am. Welcome. But yeah, so I have the questions here. They're just like on my laptop. As you can see, I love stickers. But yeah, I have the questions. So I'm going to just read them and we're gonna see where this goes. Question 1, when did you publish your first book? Or if unpublished, when is your release date? Okay, so I published Older, my poetry book, in 2019, I believe. And that was the first edition of the copy. And then I published From Within a Broken Heart, honestly, maybe like a few months ago. And then Older, this is the second edition. This is like my official updated edition now. The back cover, etc. I changed the font on just like the title and etc. and on the back. But yeah, this is the second edition copy. This one came out this past year in 2023, I believe. But yeah. And honestly, since Swan of the Night and my other work in progress, which is a medium fantasy / adventure, it's called The Day the Clocks Disappeared, and those 2 books are not even finished yet, so I'm not even going to really mention when they're going to come out because I'm honestly not sure. Question 2, what is your favorite genres? What are your favorite genres to write? To read? Okay, so my favorite genres to write so far, I see that's another thing, is like I haven't been writing long enough to really even answer this question. I started primarily in poetry, and the reason for that was just because it was short, it was simple, I could get my emotions down on paper, and that's just like really what I enjoyed. But now that I'm kind of delving into this more narrative world, I'm kind of experimenting, if that makes any sense, with my writing. I'm just like not really sure where it's going, so I don't know genre-wise. But reading, I love thrillers. Right now I'm reading from another indie author. It's called Rust-Colored Rain, and it is a zombie apocalypse thriller. So far, I'm loving it, which is crazy, because I haven't read a lot of like books in a really long time. If you want to know why, check out my last video, you'll see. But anyways, so genre-wise, I think horror, thriller. I love paranormal, like suspense type stuff. I've always been that type of person. Fantasy, I'm getting into a little bit too, and then also I love dark romance, but it depends. It really depends for me. 3, do you use a pen name at all? If so, how did you come up with it? Okay, so no, I actually don't use a pen name. My name is Emily Schaubeck. For a long time, I went by Kira, and Kira's also a name that I go by. And that was mostly just because I felt very disconnected from my name. So I have my Chinese name, the name that I was born with, because I'm adopted. Then I have my name, Emily Schaubeck, from my adoptive parents. And then I had Kira Schaubeck, which is just kind of like who I am, my little, I wouldn't necessarily call it an alter ego, but it's just, I was very uncomfortable with being Emily for a really long time. I was the type of kid that struggled like with making friends. So I was so sick and tired of people calling Emily, 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 and it was never me. I was never the Emily they were talking about. And it just kind of like affected me a lot growing up, especially considering Emily was one of the #1 baby girl names for my year, 99. And it just affected me that way. So I went by Kira for a really long time, maybe from like middle school, high school, into like early to mid college. But then I recently transitioned back to Emily just because I was like, you know what, fuck it, like it's who I am. 4, who is your MC and what drove you to write them? Okay, so my MC, I'm going to do for Swan of the Night because that's the book that I'm primarily focusing on right now. It's a dark romance / thriller. If you want to know a little bit more about it, you can check out my last video. But basically, a college professor named Jim Benson develops an unhealthy love obsession with his mistress Elise. And there's lust and violence. And I'm not really going to say any more than that. But anyways, my MC is this guy named Jim Benson. And what drove me to write him... Honestly, so when I was in high school, I really enjoyed the book Catcher in the Rye. I know, leave me alone. It's just, that's what I liked at the time. But I very loosely based my MC Jim off of Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye. And the reason why is just because I kind of related to the fact that Holden Caulfield is very in his head, if that makes any sense. And Jim is the same type of guy. He is always in his head. He's always thinking. He's always kind of strategizing. He's always kind of... He's I wouldn't necessarily call him like manipulative, but he kind of is... I don't really know how to describe it, but he kind of like... He doesn't manipulate people through his words and actions, but he manipulates people in his head, if that makes any sense. He wants them to be a certain way. And when they're not that way, and they're not kind of what his expectation for them would be, he kind of has little freak out moments. And the reason why is because I kind of also loosely based him off of just... You know the nice guy syndrome, where a guy is like really nice to you, but the reality is that he only wanted to get in your fucking pants. And then the moment you tell him, I just see you as a friend, he just never talks to you ever again. Yeah, Jim is that guy. Jim is the type of dude who's like, I'm so nice, you know, like I'm such a good person, but he's also very mellow too. So it's like, he's like the secret narcissist that you don't know about, if that makes any sense. Covert narcissist. That's what it's called. That is Jim, and I just really wanted to write a character that's problematic, if that makes any sense. Question 5. What inspired your most recent work? So my most recent work was actually From Within a Broken Heart, actually. I think that was like my mini chapbook. That doesn't count because I didn't actually write that recently. It was actually a collection of poetry that I had written back in high school, and it was a kind of a little blast from the past. But my most recent work that obviously I'm working on, Swan of the Night, I think it was inspired by... I don't know. Like I said, I wanted to write a character that was problematic, that was a male, yes, Jim. And then I also wanted to write kind of like a female empowerment character, but not in the way that you'd think. So Elise, I'm not going to go into too much about Elise's character because she really is a screwball. But I don't mean that in the sense that she's like crazy. I mean it more so in the sense that she's unpredictable. You have this vision of Elise and who she is in like the first half of my novel. So my novel is a dual POV too. So the first half of the novel is all Jim. The second half of the novel is all Elise. And it's not like a vignette style, as in like it's their POVs at the same time. I'm not going to give away any more, but it's basically just there's a shift. And I wanted Elise to be super unpredictable. So there's no real like inspiration behind the story itself, but it's more so about the characters. Question 6 is, do you participate in NanoWrimo or NanoCamp? So like NanoWrimo like camp that they do, I think in July and January. I'm not sure. Certain months of the year they do like NanoWrimo, but like the camp version, that are just other months of the year that you can still do NanoWrimo in, technically. So I'm a NanoWrimo failure, air quotes. So I have tried to do Nano multiple times and I failed multiple times. And I think it's mostly just obviously because life gets in the way. I get super busy, but also I'm a slow ass writer, and I'm a fast reader, but I'm a slow as motherfucking writer. Like I'm actually going to do a video on this soon, but about being like a slow writer versus like a slow reader, etc. But bitch, I couldn't get a novel done in 30 days. Fuck no. Question 7, are there any other indie authors that you like to support or enjoy their work? So I actually follow and I'm subscribed to a lot of indie authors here on YouTube and TikTok, Instagram, etc. To name a few, I love Otto Schaefer. He's on TikTok. I don't think he's on YouTube, but he's a really great guy. His books, like I said, I'm reading Rust Colored Rain right now. It's so good. Sarah Mae Sutton, she's on YouTube and she's on TikTok and Instagram. She's great. She writes contemporary YA romance. I actually haven't read any of her books yet. I plan to. I have 2 of them on my TBR right now. But I just love her consistency. I love that she never gives up, and I love that her vlogs are so down to earth. And I've been subscribed to her for a really good while. I love Autumn Ashley Writes. She's another great one. Kayla Kemper, I think her last name, or Kempner. Yeah, I love her videos. So cinematic and so beautiful. Who else? Gosh, Danielle, I think, oh, what's her name? There's another one. I think her name is Danielle Writes or something like that. I love her videos. And Tim Coster, he is a Twitter friend actually, but he wrote The Probability of Time, which is actually the book that got me back into reading, so check that out. Okay, what am I up to? Question 8, okay, question 8. Why do you write? Or rather, what inspires you to write over other art forms? So on this channel, obviously, my bird woke up, but on this I'm just going to keep going. But on this channel, as you've seen, I am also a model, a photographer. I do digital art and I make stickers. I love to crochet. I love to knit. I love to sew. I love to paint. I just love so much different forms of creativity, if that makes any sense. But why do I write? Okay, honestly, I don't really have an answer for that, especially considering it took me so long to get back into writing as an art form. But I actually have a poem from my poetry book that can kind of describe it. And this is getting really annoying. But anyways, so the only way that I can really describe like why I write, so I wrote a poem actually about it a while ago, back in 2019, 2020, around that time. And it's from my poetry book called Older. If you want to check it out, links in bio, all that good shit. But anyways, so it's called Why I Do What I Do. And I'm just going to read it to you because honestly, it's like the only way that I can really explain why I write, because honestly, I don't even know. But why I do what I do. I do what I do because I can, because why not? I do what I do because it makes me happy, because it makes me feel whole again. I do what I do because what good are emotions if they cannot be expressed? I do what I do because if I don't do it, who will? And the reason why, and I don't necessarily mean that in the sense that like, obviously there are other writers out there and they have wonderful work. I more so mean that for myself. And if I don't write, like who's going to do it for me? No one, obviously. So I have to kind of follow that journey for myself, if that makes any sense. Question 9, why indie? People ask me this question all the time. They'll be like, why don't you like join the query trenches? Or like, why don't you like query, you know, so that you can get traditionally published? Yeah, no, I just, nope, I don't want to be in the query trenches. No, thank you. I prefer to have full creative control over my books. So for example, Older, sorry, this is just kind of like my beat up copy, but Older was completely self-published by myself. I like formatted it all by myself. The cover and like some of the illustrations inside of it, I did actually hire an illustrator for, so those are not by me. But I kind of just like and enjoy having that full creative control and having to learn about the process for myself and learn about formatting. I've always been the type of person that has initiative. And I don't know, I just can't relate to people that don't, not gonna lie, because people ask me shit all the time of like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I'm like, bitch, you literally have Google. Like, Google it, figure it out. Like, it's not that hard. But anyways, I just enjoy that aspect of indie publishing because I can do it for myself. And if anything gets fucked up, that's on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to, there's no one else to blame. And even if there are mess ups in my book, it's like, okay, I'm human. Like, I don't know. I've never understood why people are like, oh my God, if there's a spelling error, it must be the worst book ever. And it's like, we're human, bro. Like, it happens. Like, Leave me alone. Despite all that though, I just do genuinely enjoy having full creative control over my own books, my own work, my own channel, my own everything. I don't know. I've always been that type of person where it's like, if you can't get it done right, do it yourself, or whatever the saying is, which has always been a flaw of mine as well. It's a gift and a curse. But yeah, that part obviously of publishing, I did enjoy it. I did enjoy not having to answer to anyone, not to have deadlines, and just kind of go by my own pace. And that's something that I just really value. And obviously it's going to be different for everyone. Indie publishing isn't for everyone. That is a fact. So keep that in mind when you're writing your books or your poetry, etc., whatever you're going to pursue. But just remember that when you indie publish, if you just take an image and slap some text on it, no one's going to want to read that. I hate to say it, but people do judge books by their covers. And if your cover looks like shit, your work is riddled with spelling mistakes and grammatical errors, and it's formatted poorly, obviously no one's going to buy your book. So the more time and the more effort you put into your shit, the better it'll come out. What do you hope for the future of the writing community? This is a tough one. What I hope for the future of the writing community, besides problematic authors just being awful human beings, I think it would be, and I keep saying this on this channel all the time, is like, bro, if we uplift each other as artists, as writers, as photographers, digital artists, musicians, whatever you do, if we lift each other up, we all win in a sense. Kind of. You know what I mean, though. I don't like the competitive mentality of having to tear down other people to ensure your success. It's just very juvenile to me, and it's very immature, and all it tells me is that you can't do it on your own. And that's sad for you, not anybody else. And maybe that's just my own pride talking, but like, couldn't be me. The whole Kate Corain situation, for example, like review bombing your fellow authors and like creating fake Goodreads accounts and all that shit. It's like, and they were only authors of color too, so it's like, but anyways, it's like, couldn't be me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would never go out of my way purposely to sabotage other people. And it's just like, who does that? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm the only person left in the world, because sometimes I just see this shit and I instantly have to turn my phone off, because I'm just like, wow, these shitbags really do exist out there. And it's just so overwhelming sometimes. And yeah, and honestly, I think going forwards for the future of the writing community, I wish we would just uplift each other a little bit more and stop trying to tear each other down. Or like, for example, there was another Twitter, author. They're always like that. But and she was like purposely calling out another author, and she was a person of color, and I think she was from Yoruba, I think. I don't remember, or if that's how you pronounce the country. But anyways, she was African American. And this other author, who was white, accused her of stealing her idea. And the author was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know who the fuck you are. Like, what's happening? And this white author was like, you stole my idea. This is copyrighted, whatever. She was accusing her of stealing the idea of having powers from the sun. Like, bitch, there are so many other books out there where people harness the power of the sun, or like the sun somehow fuels their powers in like magic systems and world building and other fantasy novels. Like, there's so many books and movies out there with that exact same concept. You can't copyright the sun, bitch. Like, what the... Again, it is one of those moments where it's like, I see this unhinged shit and I'm just like, wow. I can't believe what I just read. But the moral of the story is that I hope for the writing community that we can uplift each other as a community. We can kind of rekindle that love for knowledge and books and reading. And I feel like we struggle as a generation, as Gen Zers, because so many of us are like, I don't read books, or like, I like movies better, or like TV shows or whatever. And like, they kind of have this like very elitist mentality about media and how you consume media for some reason. And I just love that as a generation, we're kind of bringing that back. We're rekindling our love for books, and book talk, for example. And obviously there are pros and cons to everything, but I think going forwards, my hope for the writing community is that we stick together, and indie authors supporting indie authors, authors supporting authors in general, artists supporting artists. Like, bro, it's literally just the ego that holds people back, and that, you know, sabotages their own work by being awful human beings. But it's like, bro, if you just got over that one thing, if you just got over your fucking ego for 5 seconds, maybe you'll see why we need to actually support each other. Because the world is crazy enough in itself. Like, there are enough, like, actually crazy motherfuckers out there that review bombing and, you know, calling people out for bullshit that's not actually real and all that good shit. Like, it's really just not worth it. It's not worth your time. It's definitely not worth your precious energy. Like, I don't know. I just wish going forwards people would stop being little pricks and just support each other. Like, it's really not that hard to be a good person. I don't understand it, but whatever. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm going to have another up maybe in a few days or about a week. But anyways, I just wanted to do this tag because, like I said, I wanted the questions to be a little bit more specific to indie writing, specific to writers overall. And yeah, if you want to do the questions, like I said, I'm going to leave them in my description, so you could just copy and paste them and you could do them yourself. And please tag me in your videos. Like, I would love to see it. I love supporting new artists. I love supporting writers. Like, I think I just subscribed to like 3 new people just today, 5 new people just today. And like, my favorite thing is going in like the video section that only have maybe like 30 to 100 views. And then like, I'll instantly comment on their stuff, and like, I'll subscribe and I'll compliment their work and just like hype them up a bit, because it's like, even I don't have the most views. No, like, I don't even care about views. But at the end of the day, it's like spreading that love, spreading that good energy, and it will come back to you. I am a strong believer in karma, and just that whole idea, if that makes any sense, of just the energy that you put out into the world is definitely the energy that you're going to get back. So I try my best to be uplifting, if that makes any sense. And yeah, I don't really know how to end this video, but I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. It is Tuesday today, and yeah.